Hello guys, welcome back. I am Professor Fayaz Kavadi from Department of Mechanical Engineering. Today we are going to discuss the new type of gear drive, that is worm and worm gear, from theory of machine subject. So in this session we are discussing the introduction part of worm and worm gear drive. For clearly understanding the constructional features of worm gear drive, you can see the animated views of this gear drive. Worm and worm gears are used to transmit the motion between two perpendicular and non-intersecting axes. So in this application, whenever you have to transmit the motion or power having the axes which are perpendicular to each other and also the non-intersecting, at that time you will use worm and worm gear. Here you can see the axis of worm is as shown, as I am showing here. From your side, this is from left to right or right to left, and the axis of this rotating gear is towards you and away from you. So both the axes of gear pair is perpendicular to each other. This is right to left and this is towards you and away from you. So perpendicular to each other, but at the same time these are non-intersecting axis also, because the axis of worm and the axis of worm gear is in two different planes and these planes are perpendicular to each other. So whenever you have to transmit the motion from one plane to another, worm and worm gear drive are used. Worm is similar to screw. This is worm. Worm is similar to screw, or if you see the bolt, you can see the similar view as screw or bolt, having single or multiple star thread which forms the teeth of worm. These thread act as teeth of worm. Okay, machine with this worm gear or worm wheel is there, which is same as helical gear. Worm is helical with concave face. The face or face of teeth is made concave to accommodate the portion of worm periphery. This is cylinder. So cylinder is having periphery. So to accommodate this periphery into this worm gear teeth surface, the surface of teeth are made concave. Here you can see this surface is made concave to accommodate the periphery of this gear. Okay. So next point, worm drives the worm gear. This is worm. This drives the worm gear. So when this drives the worm gear, for calculation or analysis purpose, the assumption is that worm is always driver, where worm wheel is always driven wheel. Worm, this will make our assumption. Worm is driver and worm wheel is driven. At the same time, worm and worm gear have same hand of helix. Okay, worm and worm gear have same hand. Now the advantages and disadvantages of this worm and worm gear drive is, It is used when large speed reduction ratio is required for one shaft to another. That is the specialty of this worm and worm gear drive. It is used for large speed reduction ratio is required at that time worm and worm gear drive is used. That means if this worm wheel will rotate for one revolution, at the same time it will rotate to 100 revolution. When this will rotate for one revolution, at the same time this will rotate for 100 revolution. So whenever large speed reduction ratio is required at that time, generally that speed reduction ratio is 1:100. So whenever you in your application large speed reduction ratio is required, at that time this worm and worm gear drive is used. At the same time, the second important property of this gear pair is that it is non-reversible. Non-reversible. It means the worm is always driver and worm gear is always driven. Worm is always driver. This is always driver. So this is connected to electric motor. So power is getting to worm is from electric motor, and this power or motion is transmitted to worm gear or worm wheel due to engagement of teeth. Okay. Now the advantages is that this is compact in size as compared to spur, helical and bevel gear, and it is used for high speed reduction ratio. These gears are self-locking or non-reversible. Due to the self-locking property, these are used for hoist or lifting of our vehicles for in lifters. So these gears are self-locking or non-reversible. The operation is silent and smooth. The disadvantage of this gear drive is the efficiency is very less as compared to other drive. The efficiency of this worm and worm gear drive is very less. During the operation, more heat is generated, hence effective cooling is required. For that purpose, this gear drive is always placed in deep in oil. Third one, these are more expensive than all the gears, as difficult to manufacture. As the manufacturing of gear worm and worm gear drive is difficult, it directly affects the cost of this gear drive, so it is more expensive. The application is due to self-locking. These gears are used in steering mechanism, hoisting device, cranes, dam gates, lifts, etc. At the same time, these gears are used in musical instrument like guitar for self-locking of the strings. So these are some introduction part which may ask in the examination for 4 marks. Give the advantages, disadvantages and application of worm and worm gear drive. So at the end of this session, the student can understood the worm and worm gear and the different characteristic of this gear drive and advantages, disadvantages and application of gear drive. Thank you so much.